How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, and today we are going to be talking about support and resistance lines on stock charts. Support and resistance lines are very important, especially if you want to look at trends in stock prices and to see when you can have a potential big move either to the upside or to the downside just by identifying support and resistance. Here on my screen I have Airbnb on two different time frames, and this is also pretty key for depending on what trading style you do. I do day trading and swing trading. So for swing trading, what that means is I buy shares or options and hold them for a couple of days. Looking at the example we have right now on Airbnb, I'm looking at the 2 hour, and that's why it's important to look at larger time frames for bigger moves. As you can see, it went from 157 all the way till now to 146, almost 147, a $10 move, right? A $10 move in 6 days. Right there you go, it tells you on the chart 6 days. So that could have been a swing to the downside, right? You could have shorted Airbnb, you could have bought a put to bet towards the downside on Airbnb as a swing. If we're gonna do that trade today, right now, that's called a day trade or a scalp, but as you can see, that was not the case. The case for a scalp was from the open from 148 and it went down to 144.44, so like a $3-4 move, as you can see, for a scalp or a day trade. So that's why time frames are very key. But going back to mainly support and resistance, you can actually use support and resistance again to look at where the stock wants to go. I'm actually gonna just mainly focus on the bigger time frame because surprise, once we do our support and resistance in a bigger time frame, we'll be able to see it, as you guys just saw, on a smaller time frame, and then we could use those levels to take direction and place our trades. Let's start off with the daily. Right, I'm gonna clean up the chart just to give you guys the prime example of how to do this. All right, so what you're gonna want to do is have any platform that you can do technical analysis where you can see candlesticks. These are candlesticks right here. They tell a story of what happened in that time frame. Since we're on the daily, every candlestick is a 1 day. So you can see how much the stock moved in 1 day. I recommend Webull for beginners because it's really great. As you become more advanced, you can use something like TradingView or other platforms for more in-depth technical analysis and charting. But for now, Webull is a great free platform, and they also give you 2 free stocks when you sign up. I believe even right now, I think they're doing 4, but 2 is like their standard introductory gift for newcomers. All right, and we get this awesome platform, which again we can see the chart, and now I am doing my support and resistance. Usually when you draw a support line, it's the one on the bottom because it supports the price, right? When it comes down, buyers step in. There's buyers here and they push the price back up. Then we come into resistance, which is where there's sellers, people who are waiting to sell their stock for whatever reason, right? They could be people who unfortunately purchased at higher prices, and if it goes up a little bit, they're more willing to sell. It could be people who bought the lows and are trying to take profits. So there's many different reasons why support and resistance zones tend to show up. But the beautiful thing is it's a story, it's patterns, and people like to behave in patterns. And as stock traders, we like to take advantage of these patterns, identify them, and be able to take trades. All right, so right here, again, support, 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 and now we have the resistance. Now we have a channel. All right, this is called a channel. This channel is technically going just sideways. It's not an upwards trend because an upwards trend would be something like this. It would be going higher, 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 higher highs, higher lows, and it's not a downwards trend because it's not you know, it's not downwards trend like right here where it's lower highs and lower lows. Okay, so we're in a sideways channel. This is actually really good because in technical analysis, a channel is actually a consolidation zone. It's a battle between the buyers and the sellers. Who's gonna win? Well, you'll be able to see that in hindsight best, right? But we can take advantage of it to position ourselves and try to get a piece of the action. If you can get in at almost the correct time, you know, you don't have to get in at the exact point where, like, now we're gonna break to the downside, now we're gonna have a breakout to the upside. You don't have to be on target, right? You don't have to get the to the decimal, to the dollar on spot. You just have to be close enough in the range, in the zone, to have a spot in the trend, right, where it's gonna start to trend next, where it's gonna go next. So right now we have a possibility where this channel could break to the downside. Why would it quote unquote break? Because we have identified a support zone, and if the support zone does not hold, if we see more sellers step in and create more candlesticks, like right here and maybe a little bit here, maybe they would try to go a little bit up, but then that's when you can position yourself for the big move, right? This is one possibility that could happen, where sellers could take advantage right now that we're around these lows, push them down, have buyers, you know, kind of get scared and step away, so then more sellers come in, more selling pressure jumps in, and then that's when you get one of these big red days, and you can take advantage of it by shorting the stock. Also, you can short with Webull right here, shortable. There you go, those are your requirements. Or you can, what I like to do is play options and get some leverage, and for options play, that would be a put. Right now I wouldn't blindly start shorting or buying a put, because we actually have a strong channel, we have a strong support, we also have a strong resistance. We have had fake breakouts to the upside, we have had fake breaks to the downside. As you can see, they recover pretty quickly. So if you're going short right, oh, I need to go right now, and it starts to recover, whoa, be careful. Again, going back to what I've been saying, that you don't have to time it, you just have to manage your risk properly. That is what you have to do with trading. It's all about managing your risk. Okay, so now that we have identified support and resistance, and that's the main message of this video, support and resistance, we can be patient and wait for a trade. This is a great setup for a move that's going to happen. How much would this stock be pushed? Well, some people like to use the size of the channel. In this case, it's being around $8 right here in length, so you could put it right here. If we're going to break to the downside, I would be looking to close my position around 137. Also, this zone right here is a valid support zone next, because we have had price action here in the past. So if you're new to technical analysis, what we like to do, what technical analysts like to do is draw the other support and resistance zone, which is right here. It broke out of it, as you can see, created this new channel. But if it was to break to the downside, you can be sure to find support around here again. So not only did I use one example of how far could it go, $8, measuring the channel, but we also see there's support right here, right before. And why is this now support? Because every time you break resistance, it's now support. Every time you break support, it's now resistance. So if it was to have gone down and it's going to come back up, this would be considered resistance, even though previously it was support. I like to keep my chart clean, so I'm just going to keep this line right here, and I'm gonna make it myself blue. So if we were to break to the downside, because it looks like we could, right now it's pointing towards the downside, just because we're at lower, we're right here, we're on the support line. Tomorrow, if I start seeing prices around 143, 142.99, that's where I would see pressure, and I would be looking at the volume to see, are sellers really stepping in, and could they take this down to 138, 137, and, you know, make a profit right there by joining the move. So that's supporting resistance in a nutshell. That's where we're at right now. You can also do supporting resistance in patterns like triangles. Why? Because again, resistance, 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 and here we have support, support after a huge crazy sell-off, support, support, support. You have to remember that lines are not to the T, and you should remember that it's support and resistance zone. So you can see this is a zone, support zone, resistance zone. You see, it doesn't have to be exactly on the dot. So when you draw your single line, just know that it's a zone. It won't always respect to the T, okay? So But here you can see we have support and resistance, and it's pushing price and squeezing it inwards, and that was awesome. And that was great for a big breakout, which, as you can see, the breakout was to the downside in this case of this wedge, right? A big move. This was where you could have taken a big swing trade or day traded looking for shorts every day. That's a big possibility, but the big money is made on the big moves, so you would have probably wanted to swing this, hold your short position for a couple of days until you see buyers step in. How would you be able to identify this zone if you didn't know about this? You would have to look at prior price, and right here, support, 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 remember zone. And as you can see, it went under it, so then it became resistance right here, trying to come back, and previous price action would say around here would be the support. So that's hindsight, as you can see, because I'm showing you guys in the past. Right now we're right here, and this works with any security looking at support and resistance zone. Patterns just tend to emerge, and it's all about, you know, you'll get used to it once you put in more time into your stock charts, into your technical analysis. One more thing about support and resistance lines is not only can you draw them, but they are actually created for you by price. And what do I mean by that? Well, check this out. What is with this green line? This is the 50 moving average. Basically, it calculates the average of the last 50 candlesticks and starts plotting it on the screen in a nice line. In this case, it's the 50, right? So the 50 can act as support and resistance too. As you can see here, it was support, it helped push price up. Here, it price pierced through it, so then it was actually resistance, pushing it down. Price tried to go back up, but the 50 moving average was resistance right here and pushed it back down. Right here, we tried yet again, and the 50 moving average was showing that this was resistance, ultimately pushing it way down. Now we're recovering, and we are intertwined with the 50 moving average, so this is actually very good for a big move. This means the stock has rested enough for another potential big move. You can add more of these moving averages by going to your indicators, and here are the ones I tend to have: 5, 9, 21, 50, 103. I like to be a little extra, right? Instead of 100, most people like to use 100 clean, and the 200. Where's the 100? The 200 doesn't show because there's not enough candlesticks on the daily. Airbnb is still brand new, guys. It just IPO'd, I believe, this year, 2021, in the beginning. So here we have the 103. As you can see, it's very far up there. It's not very useful because this stock is fairly new. So we could do the 21, and the 21 also we're squeezing. Right, this could even form a little wedge between the moving averages, resistance, support, 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 resistance, squeezing it, broke a little bit to the downside. Oh, price is trying to find its true value. For me, the best one is just 50, so I can see a bigger picture. So that's we are actually on the daily. Lastly, support and resistance lines. As you can see, once we start moving in closer, you can see them. And remember, they're zones. So if you start seeing price come down here, don't immediately be like, oh, don't immediately be like, oh, okay, it went under it went under support, we're going down. It did go a couple of points, but recovered. Remember, this is a support zone. So we found buyers, and buyers were able to push the price back up a little bit within the day, and now it's coming back around the support line, which hopefully if we find buyers and we start to find a lot of them, then maybe we can do a bounce play where it consolidates a little bit around this line, gains some strength, momentum, and then we push upwards and take a trade that way. If not, the other trade that I'm looking at with Airbnb is for it to consolidate on the line and then start seeing weakness, and more sellers step in with volume, as you can see here, a lot of volume, and then push downwards. So that's a trade that I'm looking to, and I showed you guys on the daily. My profit target would be 137, 130, 138, 137, around this zone. Again, these lines are shown from our daily that we drew out, but even within smaller time frames, we can draw even more support and resistance lines. As you can see, support, 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 resistance, resistance. Today it went under the support line, broke under it, and pushed into the next support line. And now remember, this is resistance. Came and touched it, resistance. So tomorrow is going to be a big interesting day because we have a lot of lines, we have a lot of zones that are starting to fight within each other, right? The sellers are really pushing in, the buyers are in danger, but could they give it one more shot and push back and push price back up? That's another possibility. Right now, I would say I would have a little bit of a bias towards the downside. Why? Because we have a downwards pressure. We're on support. Now we have a resistance of this channel. Okay, so and this is setting up for a good day trade. So how would I play this? Again, I would want to see a lower low first of all. So if the low is 144, if I see the price go 144 20 cents, I would be looking to go short. Personally, right there, I would want to see the volume increase and, you know, hold my position for as long as it shows weakness until it finds the next support zone. Where's the next support zone? The good thing is immediately it would be around 141 just because of prior history right here. This would show support, support, support. If it doesn't hold because it's really weak, a little bit of price, not always tested, it would go to the bigger support line, which is 138, and that's why I'm looking for a big move, and that's how we're able to identify big moves with support and resistance and simple price action, as you can see. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is how I look for trading setups, and a very simple way is again by identifying support and resistance zones. My lines moved right there. There we go. So that's my game plan. If it falls into this territory of 144, looking to short towards the downside. If we start to see strength, it could also go back up, right? Because this is support. Remember, support zone. If I start seeing the price around 147.50, that's where I would be a little bit more comfortable to go towards the upside and just continue this channel. Okay, so two possibilities, both the upside and the downside, but I've been able to identify them thanks to support and resistance. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If something didn't make sense, let me know. That way I can clarify to the best of my ability, and I will see you guys in the next one.